Stack. I'm Scotty, and today I wanted to cover a cloud data engineer role that is entry level. Now, this is a lower paying one that I don't normally cover in this range, but it is entry level. They pay for your training in AWS and cloud technology, and they'll pay for relocation if you so choose to do so with a company like this. That's a pretty sweet deal if you're just starting out. So I just wanted to go ahead and cover what they're looking for. So they're looking for experience with Python, and they're looking for knowledge in AWS and SQL or database knowledge in general. So I think these are things that we can cover in a quick tutorial. And so I want to take this opportunity to dig into Lambda just a little bit. We're going to create a single function that is going to do one thing. And here what I have in this poorly drawn Lucid chart is a file that will be uploaded to an S3 bucket that I assume you've already created. I'm not going to create that in this tutorial. I would like to see you do that. And then that S3 bucket is going to push out an event that Lambda is going to listen for and consume, and then Lambda is going to execute the function, which is going to reach out to the secrets manager to grab the Postgres database password that we're going to create. And it's also going to then call RDS through PsychoBG to start the export of S3. So then the export will happen in this direction. And so pretty simple project, but gets your feet wet in database and Lambda and even secrets manager, which we haven't really done before. So let's go ahead and get started. So I should note here that a lot of what I'm going to be doing at the very beginning of this, I have a script I have already written that is in my GitHub, and you can pull that down. I'll put the link in the description. And I'm also going to put a link for this document in the description as well from the Amazon docs. So a big piece of this S3 migration is just from them, right? So all of the prerequisites for this I've already scripted out, so we can quickly get this up and running. I will do a separate video on how I created that and why I created it in the way I did in another video. But for this purpose, we're just going to quickly stand everything up and get things rolling so we can focus on Lambda and the export import of data. Another assumption that I think that you will find out or should have already is something like dbeaver, a tool where we can view our database. You don't need it for this. You can use your command line if you want, but I'm going to be using dbeaver, so I just don't want to throw you off. And so just remember, if you like this video, please like it, engage with me in the comments, join my Slack channel, and subscribe to this channel. It helps me more than you know. But let's go ahead and dig right in. So I mentioned before that I have a script that I'm going to run called project setup, and this script has, just for your concern, some variables at the top that you'll need to change. So the S3 bucket is going to be your bucket name that you've already created. If you want to change your secret name pass, you can, but that's just what I'm naming mine. Doesn't really matter in any case, unless you're overwriting your other secret. RDS identifier is persons DB for me. You can change that however you want as well. That's just the name of the instance in Amazon. And then my region is, of course, East 1. You're going to want to change it depending on where you are and what you use. So again, this script is in the GitHub, links in the description. You can pull it and use it because that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to cover this here because I think it'd just take way too much time, but I will make a separate video for this. The good thing about this is it shows you the AWS CLI a lot, so I will make sure to do that. And really, that is all we need to change at the beginning. The other script I have here too is upload S3. You can drop the file manually in S3 if you want. I'm just doing this just to quickly upload my file, multiple times if needed. Hopefully not, but you can do whatever you feel comfortable with. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just kick this off. I did a dry run before I recorded this, so I might have some overwritten things and overlapping things, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to do project setup. And so here in just a moment, I'm going to pause the recording and let this set all the way up. As you can see, it's echoing out everything that this script is doing. So we're creating a security group, which is for opening up 5432 for Postgres. We're generating the secure password and uploading it to Secrets Manager. We're creating the policy and the role, attaching them together, and now we're creating the database. Now, this is going to update us every 30 seconds with the status of our database, so I'm going to pause it here, and you can too, and we'll pick back up whenever this is created. All right, so my status is up to available now, and so in a couple seconds here, it's going to finish up the script, and we'll be able to take off with the rest of the tutorial. Okay, so we added the IAM role to the RDS instance, and we have spit out our endpoint, the password to the database, and then our bucket name, of course. So what I'll do here next is I'll just go ahead and connect to this Postgres in dbeaver. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that endpoint. And I can come down to my dbeaver, and we will go ahead and add a new connection, Postgres. I'll put in the host, Postgres. The password is this guy. Okay, which is also now in Secrets Manager if you were to go check, which you can, but our Lambda is also going to reference that as well. So finish, let's connect to it. All right, so I'm connected, and I have databases, Postgres, and this is where everything's going to end up. The next kind of thing to set this up is if I go back to that AWS guide here, we do have an important piece that we have to add, and those are the extensions for the S3. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this step 2, come back down, run SQL, paste it here, and we can run this against our database. And as you can see, it says installing required extensions. And if I come over to my extensions, I have AWS Commons. So we are good to go. Okay, so the final kind of piece here is, and probably the most important, is the Lambda function. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, first, before I create my function, I'll just go ahead and create my folder for my dependencies, because this is a Python function. And if you're not familiar with Lambda, it's a stateless, serverless function that is executed on a trigger. So in our case, that trigger is S3. When an event is pushed from S3, Lambda is going to then execute the function. So for this, since it's stateless, we have to have our dependencies in what's called a layer. So we're going to add those dependencies to a separate folder to zip up and put up into a layer to attach to our function, and then it can run those libraries. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and make a directory. So make dir -p, and the path for me in this case, and you likely too, because I'm using 3.9 as the executor for Python. So we're just going to use Python lib Python 3.9 site packages. And the -p creates all the parent directories if they're not already created. So now we have our Python folder. And so what I want to do is do a pip install of these 3 things, right? So boto 3, psychopg2 -binary, and then AWS lambda _ power tools -t, and then the location that we just had, which is the Python, site packages. And I caught a typo here. Let's see, psycho, psy. All right, and let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we have, if we were to look down into those, the directory, we can see we have all of our packages and libraries there. So let's go ahead and zip that up. So we can do a zip -r packages, .zip, and then just the Python directory. Okay, so we have that. Okay, so we have the packages.zip now available to us, and that will be our layer. Now let's go ahead and create the lambda _ function.py file. Now this one, I'm naming it this because that's the default for Lambda, so I'm not going to change anything in Lambda on what to execute. It's just going to execute the default, which is this, and you'll see my function is that way too. So here, let's just start by importing what we need. So import psychopg2, and then from AWS _ lambda _ power tools, we're going to, or utilities. Yeah, I can't type and think at the same time. It's ridiculous. And then from that, we're going to import parameters with parameters. Okay, and then we're going to do another from. And this one is botocore .config import config. Okay, so those are the 3 things that we need to import into the project. Now we can go ahead and create our function. So that is going to be the default lambda handler and this gets passed an event in context. Okay, and so inside of here, we're going to first set up with the configuration for our region. So let's go ahead and define that now. So config equals config, and then region underscore name equals, for me, US East 1. Okay, and then we're going to set up our secrets provider. So secrets underscore provider is going to equal parameters dot secrets provider, and then here we can do config equals config. Okay, so we've set our config to the secrets value of that secret is going to be secrets provider equals, or sorry, not equals, dot git, and then this is the name of our secret that we did, so RDS pass in my case. And if you want, you can go ahead and just print the event, just so you can see what's passed in an event. I think that that's helpful in our understanding. Now, using CyclePG, we're going to go ahead and connect to Postgres. So con we're going to define con equals CyclePG dot connect. And here, we're just going to put in pass our database information. So host equals, and we can grab, I did pipe everything into info, so you can cat info, and we have our endpoint here. And then we can do our DB name equals Postgres. Whoops, sorry, this is supposed to be inside the quotes. And then our user equals Postgres, and then our password is going to be passed by the secrets manager. So we can close that now and do a format and just add in our value, which is what we passed our secret to. All right, so that's our connection string. Now we're going to use something in CyclePG2 called the cursor. So we can do cursor con dot cursor dot execute, and here now we're going to execute 3 different Postgres commands in order to set up the database and then kick off our import of the data. Okay, so in quotes, we're going to go ahead and do a drop table if exists persons, because that's the name of the table I'm going to create right now, and then we're going to do a create table persons. Whoops. And then here, what we're going to do is an ID field, which can be a serial primary key, first name, and this can be a var_char of like 80, and then title, which can be a var_char of like 80 as well. Why not? Okay, and then finally location, which can be a var_char of 80. Okay, let's do a semicolon. And I forgot to close that parentheses out. All right, so semicolon now. And now for this final piece, we want to kick off the import of the data. And again, I'm pulling this mostly from the AWS document, but I did have to add a little bit of tweak here since we're running this from CyclePG2, but most of it is the same, so you can grab it from there as well. So here what I'm going to do is do a select the AWS S3 dot import, sorry, dot table import from S3. And then here we're going to have a parentheses and a single quote for our database, which is persons. Or sorry, a table, which is persons. And then we're going to have an empty string here. And then we are going to do format in parentheses. So single quote, parentheses, format, CSV, close parentheses, close quote. another comma, and this is the URI for the S3 bucket. So you're going to change this to be your S3 bucket. So SFS misc data, which is my S3 bucket, comma data.csv, which is our file that we're uploading there, and then US East 1, which is the region, and that is specific to you. And then we're going to close that, close the parentheses, give it a semicolon, give it a quote, close the execute. Okay, so that is it for our commands, and now we can just go ahead and con.commit. Okay, this is it for our Lambda function. So not a lot here. I know it's a lot of typing of the SQL commands, but it's pretty simple. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this because I'm going to need it here in a minute. I'm going to jump back to my browser, and I'm going to go over to the Lambda service. So pull that up, jump over to functions, and let's go ahead and create a function. So we're going to create it from scratch. We can call this like S3 import to RDS or something. Oops, what am I doing? I just tried to save it. Then Python 3.9. And we can leave the permissions for now. We're going to jump on that role in just another minute, but let's go ahead and just create this function. Okay, so here we are. We're at our function. It's loaded. I'm just going to take that function I copied, and I'm going to paste it here. You can do this by zipping it and uploading it, but I'm just going to copy and paste it for time's sake. I'm going to deploy that. Okay, so we have that there. I want to go ahead and add my layer. So if I go down to the bottom here to add a layer, I actually need to go and create that layer first. So I can jump back over to my menu, layers, create layer, and Python like dep or something, dependency. I'm going to upload my packages.zip from, I'm in the wrong directory, packages.zip from here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mark my executable, or sorry, my runtime, executable. All right, so now I have my layer here. Let's jump back to the function. A little more setup to do. So let's now check our configuration and let's, well, sorry. Got to go back and we got to add our layer. So let's head on down to add layer now. Custom layers, and then just grab the one you just created. Put in the version, add it. Okay, so now we can see that our layer is applied. We want to add a trigger. So here we can do select S3 and then choose your bucket. All events, that's fine, .csv, and then acknowledge. Okay, so we now have a trigger, we have our layer, we have our function code. We need to add a few more permissions. So let's head over to permissions. It created this standard role for us. Let's open that up in a new tab and bring up the IAM console. And here I'm just going to add a couple of inline policies. No, sorry, we don't need the inline. We can do just add attach policies. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do S3. And we can just do read for this. And then I also want to do secrets. And we can just add that. Okay, so now we have our read write for secrets and read only for S3. Okay, so barring no issues with the function, I was typing pretty fast, so we could run into something, but I'm going to go ahead and kick this off by triggering it through S3. So if I go back to here, remember I have my S3 upload. Again, you can upload this directly to your S3 if you want, but I'm going to upload that data file to S3. And so we have, if we were to go over there, I can refresh. That data file now exists in my bucket, and it should be kicking off my first execution. So we can go over to the Monitor tab, pull up CloudWatch, and see that execution go off with its logs. It might take a minute on the first run, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to stop right here real quick because I have experienced a lot of issues with this. And interestingly enough, this didn't happen in my dry run, so I'm not really sure where the ball dropped here, but I do want to walk you through a workaround as to how I'm going to fix this mid-record. Not really going to troubleshoot the exact issue here, but I am going to show you a workaround. So we are going to have to repackage our layer zip, and we're going to have to re-upload that as a layer. But let's go ahead and get started on that, and I can show you that real quick. So the first thing to note here is that this repository is one that I found online real quick. I forked it, and so I don't know how this would work in really a production environment or anything like that. So this is just for tutorial purposes only. This is just me trying to get this project working. So the issue is with psychopg2, and the module, for some reason, it couldn't find the executable within the folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to clone this repository and then take the package that's for 239 and put that right into our site packages folder. Blah. So we go ahead and get the clone link, and I'll put this in the description of the video as well. All right, so let's go ahead and do a git clone. Okay, it's there. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove the old psychopg. So sudo remove -r python psychopg2. Okay, and let's go ahead and copy the AWS Lambda and then the psychopg2-3.9 over to that Python site packages, and then let's just do it in psychopg2. Whoops, -r, don't forget. Okay, so let's check that out. Python. Okay, and so inside of there we have this underscore psychopg python 3.9, right? So we're going to try that. We're going to go ahead and zip this up again. So let's do the zip-r again. Okay, so our packages.zip is updated, and now we can go ahead and jump over and upload that to the layer now, and this project should run as expected. To the functions, and now you get to see how, you know, a second function would happen here. So let's come on back. So layers, sorry, yeah, layers, not the function, layers. Click on it. Let's create a version. Let's upload packages. Okay, runtimes 3.9, create. Okay, so we have 1 and 2, and now let's head on back to our function and attach version 2. Okay. All right, so we're in, it's all fine and good, we're attached. Let's try uploading the file again and see if it works this time. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and re-upload the file one last time, hopefully. If I jump back over to my dbeaver, we can do a select all from persons and run it. Okay, so now I have data in my database. So just to close this out, let's go ahead and change something here. Let's add a new line for my wife. And she is the real boss. So we're going to go ahead and upload that. And let's come back down and see if that already picked up. So let's go ahead and run it. And there she is. So our RDS database is registering that. So when we upload a file, a CSV file to S3, then the RDS, the Lambda function takes that event, kicks off the RDS command to import that into our RDS instance. So thank you for bearing with me. This was a weird one. I've had the try run happen now. I think I did it twice, and it worked flawlessly both times, but that workaround helped. So I forked that, and if you want, I'll link that here as well for what I used for this particular situation with psychopg, but I'm sure there's other workarounds. Maybe you can come up with one yourself. So thanks for joining me, and I hope that you learned something new from this, even if I was fumbling for most of it. So I hope you have a great time doing this, and good luck with the rest of your learning. So have a great day.